That is so cool.
We have taken over the chop shop. I have interrupted their broadcast to come here and annoy everyone with my talking for a Friday night. I'm here because Sonny's missing. He's not here. You guys didn't see him last weekend either. I know that we joked about him blowing up the Georgia Guidestones, but I think it might be serious. I think that we blew his CIA cover. And so I think he's disappeared and the government is mad at him and that's why he's not here. So I was asked to come and step in and co-host with Spooky here. So I'm going to try my best to co-host and not captain the ship. I'm going to attempt to let Spooky captain the ship. So Spooky, you take it from here.
First of all, everybody knows Jamie. I mean, if there's anybody that doesn't, you absolutely must go on YouTube after this show. Her channel is That One Time I Was Abducted by Aliens. We abbreviate it and we call it Toddy Wabba.
Toddy Wabba.
We all know it. We love it. And their best show they got, one of my favorite shows they got is Butt Stuff, of course.
Gotta love butt stuff.
Who doesn't love some good butt stuff? And then we also got Bobby's Cryptid Corner, another one that I love. We were just talking about that show with our guest tonight, Shetan Noir. You guys have seen Shetan before when she's been with us on the Chad Smith podcast. And we talked about cryptids. We talked about Bigfoot. We talked about lots of cool stuff. This is the go-to lady about all this information. One time, I think she even saw a Bigfoot, and maybe she'll share that with us later or whenever you want to. Everybody, please welcome Shetan Noir. Nice to see you, Shetan.
Hi, guys.
Yay.
Hello from Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah,
right on that side of the world. Me and Spooky on the West Coast, not in Bigfoot country.
The last time we saw you was on Chad Smith podcast. It was a little bit over a month ago. And it was absolutely fascinating. I mean, we were just like blown away by your stories and also how impressive your resume is.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, maybe because sometimes people on the morning show, there might be a little bit different audience than we have in the nighttime show. So if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I am a author. I am a journalist. I am a teacher and presenter. But more importantly, I own Squatch GQ Publications. So we cover a lot of different subjects with those magazines. Squatch GQ is a little bit more lighthearted. And this first year, I just took over the business in January. So this first year, I'm kind of doing, the magazines are all quarterly. So the Squatch GQ magazines are all, each quarter is a different cryptid or type of cryptid. So the summer issue that just came out a week and a half ago is all about water cryptids, which are my favorite. The lake monsters, sea serpents, if it's in the water, then we tried to cover a good assortment of them. And then we've got Cryptozoology Digest, which is a little bit more analytical, more evidence-based, evidence collection, forensic sciences, stuff of that nature, where we take a more in-depth look at how people can collect evidence, but also how to analyze and preserve that evidence once they do. So I have, different interviews with different specialists, people who have done this for many, many years. And that current issue just launched last week. One of the biggest articles in it is the Taxium lupia, or eye shine as most people know it, and how it applies to both natural occurring animals and creatures that we think are cryptids. A lot of people report seeing these, reflective eyes 7 feet off the ground, and they're like, that's not a deer. Well, nope, that might be a Bigfoot. So, and then I produce Into the Liminal Abyss Paranormal magazine, which covers the paranormal, ufology, high strangeness, weird travels. So anything from haunted locations to interviews with people who do, ghost hunting or paranormal investigations, psychic mediums, all that kind of stuff, including UFO witnesses or investigators, weird places to travel around the country. This latest issue, there are articles about following the Trail of Tears for the Native Americans, but also the Native American alphabet. The different locations that brought this. Even a new weird UFO location that's not really government related, but Meow Wolf, which is quite a unique.
In Vegas, and there's one somewhere else. Yeah.
Yes, there's one actually near in Roswell, New Mexico, called I believe it's Area 15.
No, that one's here. That one's here in Las Vegas. That's the Las Vegas one. I've been to that one before.
Okay, so is that one the one that's you're walking into a grocery store and there's all this?
Yep.
Okay, so my one of my writers covered that story. So very interesting subjects and lots of different topics for people to read. That one's also currently available on Amazon.com. All of my magazines are available on Amazon.com. It's just easier to do it that way. Cuts out me as the middleman, and they can just order it directly. Or if you see me at a convention, I might have some copies, but I don't usually carry a whole lot of them. And then the other magazine that I currently write is Dinosauria and Prehistoric Creatures. The January issue was on ancient sharks. So if you're a fan of Shark Week, if you love sharks, definitely check that one out. There's 14 different interviews and articles on all different species of ancient sharks, not just Megalodon. I know Megalodon is the big guy and everybody's always impressed, but I think just as impressive is like Helicoprimus, who's like the whirl tooth shark, or the Habontus sharks, or any of these really cool, interesting sharks that nobody really realizes they're in the fossil record. But there's interviews with the top paleontologists in their fields that research these sharks, and you get the most up-to-date information you're going to get on sharks in that magazine. The summer issue will be coming out within the next 2 weeks, and that one is going to have interviews about sauropods and the American cheetah that is prehistoric and has gone extinct here in America. Also, Michigan's fossil sites and where you can go fossil collecting in Michigan. So lots of good topics. And then this fall, there will be another magazine coming out called Rock Hounding and Prospecting. And that will cover one of my other favorite things to do, which is go looking for rocks, gems, minerals. Hopefully this fall, I'm going to get out to some locations and actually do some collecting at different mine sites. But for right now, we're looking at Herkimer. Like in the first issue, will be articles about Herkimer diamonds and Bumblebee jasper, and
which is toxic because it has sulfur inside of it.
But if it's polished, it's safe to wear.
Yes, because it doesn't have a coating around it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, but it's a very pretty stone. Yellows and blacks, oranges. It's gorgeous.
And not actually a jasper, which is funny.
No,
it's just a trade.
It's more of an agate.
It's volcanic. It's volcanic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have a lot of interest, and it's cool that you're going and being able to kind of look in and dig into all these. What topic really started your rabbit hole? Because I think we're all kind of like that. Like for me personally, it started going down like the alien rabbit hole and then exploded into ghosts and cryptids and paranormal and rocks and everything else like that. So what kind of drew you in, and then what subject started to make you kind of go out of your original one that you first kind of dived into the subject with?
So back when I was about 10 years old, all this stuff fell into the topic of New Age. So as a 10-year-old child, my family's favorite thing to do for vacations was to go camping. And here in Michigan, we've got a lot of nice campgrounds, but that particular summer, my parents had picked a campground called Crystal Lake. And
that's interesting.
The water was crystal clear. But at this campground, they had what at the time was like a 4 to 6 foot alligator and a dog kennel. It had a little shallow cement pond. And I remember walking past it each day to go down to the lake going, nope, we're not going swimming. We're not going, fishing or anything like that. Because if they caught an alligator and put it in the pen, obviously they're out in that lake. So that's what my 10-year-old mind had convinced me of. And so going to that campground was not very fun because I didn't want to go swimming. I didn't want to go fishing because even though the lake was so crystal clear, you could see the bottom of the lake, even if you were in 12 feet of water. But I'm still like, it's going to come for us. And one of those is going to get us.
Just this inherent kind of feeling that you had.
Yeah. And plus, Jaws was a big thing around then. So, alligators, crocodiles, Jaws, sharks, a 10-year-old child, at that time, it was like, nope.
It was the perfect storm. It was the perfect storm.
I didn't know, animal biology or anything like that. So yeah, that freaked me out. But then to top it all off, they decided one weekend that the perfect movies to show for family movie night was the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot movie and The Legend of Boggy Creek.
I love that. That's such a vibe. I'm gonna have to say it's interesting because I grew up in a generation where my parents told me to come home when the streetlights were on and nobody really cared what I did. But today people are so particular about things that are going on. It's funny, the farther and farther you go back, the things you see that how people were raised and the things they were shown when they were younger are just so interesting because in today's age, it's just not fathomable. You're like, why would you ever show that to a 6-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old child? But back then that was just very normal. There was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. So I remember spending the next half an hour, 45 minutes, hiding in the women's bathroom. Not even in the stall, just hiding in the bathroom because it was nighttime. I wasn't going to walk back to the camper because those things will get you. Bigfoots, whatever. And these two older ladies were very nice and they escorted me back to our camper. And it was that stuck in my brain for till now. And, that's something I will always remember. And so after that, I started becoming more and more interested in Bigfoot and lake monsters, Lock Ness. And back then you could, if you went to the bookstores, you could buy these, small paperback books that had a different chapter on one on Bigfoot and one on Loch Ness and one on alien abductions and one on crystal skulls, the Bermuda Triangle, and also, the paranormal. And so you read those books and then you're like, oh, and then you're wanting more information. But at that, during that time, you either bought those paperback books or you waited for each month's episode of the Fate magazine and read through Fate magazine to see what all applied to, what your interests were. So from there, my attention was hooked in and I started to move on. And then for the rocks and gemstones, who doesn't like shiny, pretty things?
I know. No, I mean, do you see? I'm surrounded by them, so I completely understand. And Sunny has seemed to snuck in here. Sunny, I thought that you were taking.
I had to defend myself because every time that I'm gone from here, Jamie, it doesn't mean I'm going to blow something up. And I can't stay long right now. I got to go just for a minute. I'll try to come back. Just give me 2 minutes.
Okay.
I just got one more thing to do. And then I'll come back. But don't be telling people I'm just blowing shit up all the time. And I'll be right back.
Okay.
This guy's a pyro.
He really is. And he just straight dipped. He just lit some TNT and he was like, I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Sunny. We appreciate that. Although, like I've said, low-key, Brass was the one who told me. He's the one who suggested. He was like, I think Sunny blew up the Georgia Guidestones. And it just made sense with his vacation and what was happening and the way the car drove off. I was like, that's how Sunny drives. And then look at that. Still has explosives.
And the way he left so cryptically.
So cryptically.
We were
was
like,
that
what?
Real explosives? Like, what's going on? Was it a firework?
Big Willie would say sus.
Super sus.
Sorry about that interruption, Shetan.
No,
You're
that's
absolutely
fine.
fascinating, though.
There's a little bit of lore on this channel that tends to happen with these episodes, so we have to make sure that we keep the story going on.
Shetan, before we go further into what your fascination with cryptids and such, How would anybody be able to access your publications that you talked
Mhm.
about earlier?
Okay, so everything is available on Amazon. So my books, like Lake Monsters and Odd Creatures of the Great Lakes, or Mothman and Other Flying Creatures of the Midwest, you can just put my name into the Google search, Shetan Noir, and it'll bring up those
Everything. Yeah.
books,
Thank God for Google.
and also
Mhm.
the some of the pagan books that I've written also. And then
Ooh.
for the magazines, if you just type in Squatch GQ magazine, that'll bring up everything, because that's the publishing name on all the magazines. So if you type that in, it'll bring up all the magazines. They're available. Everything's available in print form or in the ebook form for Kindle. And then you can find me on Facebook also.
Oh, okay, very good, awesome.
Perfect. And that we have that in the chat. Somebody dropped it. So thank you,
Yep, I
Arden.
just
We
saw
appreciate
that.
that. Love it.
So, Shetan, you think that you've been interested in all these subjects that we talked about so far since, would you say, a very young age?
Oh yeah, yeah. I have always had an interest in the paranormal world, new age, anything that fell outside of the realm of explainable has always been an interest to me,
Mhm.
because it's there's so much to it, and it's like a bowl of spaghetti. Just when you think you've got, everything straightened out, you find a new lead going somewhere else, and you have to take in consideration the new information that you get. So there's always a learning, aspect to it, and there's no real experts in the paranormal, cryptozoology, ufology, high strangeness. There's people who do a lot of investigating and a lot of research, but until you have the concrete or physical, Bigfoot or UFO or a ghost, captured somehow, then there's really no way to actually be an expert on them, because everything is just speculation.
Mhm.
And, you have to go on your personal experiences. So what I might think is a very benign or safe situation, somebody else who's in the exact same similar situation might think this is terrifying and overwhelming and scary. And it comes down to a lot of your personal experiences, how you personally handle it, and how what you're encountering reacts to you as you're reacting to it.
Do you happen to see a lot of crossover and a lot of your research and your publications and stuff between all of these phenomenon, whether they be ghosts, spirits, paranormal, aliens, cryptids, kind of all that stuff? Because I tend to have found in my research that the reason I kind of have went and looked into all these different outlets is because all of them tend to be a little bit more connected than people realize, and that there's not really necessarily like a separate ghost, cryptid, alien, whatever, but it's all kind of the same phenomenon that we're all investigating, just different aspects of it.
Yeah, I do believe it's different aspects of it, but the one common, like, thing that I find, so with the paranormal, cryptids, and UFOs, is a lot of the activity, a lot of the sightings happen along ley lines.
Mm-hmm.
And
33rd
also,
parallel, 37th
yep,
parallel, absolutely.
and also human civilizations developments follow ley lines across the earth. So I would say that would be the one common, denominator in all
Mm-hmm.
of this. But there's different aspects that deal to, different people. And it kind of amazes me still to this day that you will have people who believe in UFOs but don't believe in Bigfoot,
Mm-hmm.
or people who believe in the paranormal but say that, people who believe in Bigfoot are crazy. So
Mhm.
it's it's all, the individual person and how they interpret it. But for me, because I do the magazines and I do research and I do presentations on this, I go to conventions and speak on this. To me, it's all relevant. It's all, you know, um, actual stuff. And, to me, if I say I believe in Bigfoot because I've seen one, and I believe in the paranormal because I've had interactions with ghosts and spirits, then I can't discount that cloud or that object I saw, flashing through the sky as something, UFO related, because to me, that would make me a hoax. And so I keep my mind open and I investigate everything and I research everything. And I never, unless a huge red flag goes up with the eyewitness, then to me, it's all relevant and I want to know everything.
I couldn't agree with you more, in all honesty. I've always said that whether or not you believe somebody's story or not, it's very valid to them and what they think has happened. So at the end of the day, it's not about whether or not we believe them, but we should be sitting and listening to these stories and just accepting that information as a truth to them. Whether that's a truth to us is a very different story.
So I see somebody posted a question.
Yes.
Have you investigated any Bigfoots around West Branch? So I have gone to West Branch numerous times for the Bigfoot conference. And interesting enough, my family owns property just about 45 minutes north of there in Elba, Michigan. You get off at the Waters exit, go over to Elba. And my parents have had some Bigfoot activity up there when they used to camp up there. Since then, my mom's now up in Ely, Minnesota, as she works at the North American Bear Center as a bear curator. My dad stays down here and maintains the house and properties down here. But when they used to camp on that property, they would often hear something very large, something very big walking through the woods around just the perimeter, the wood line that had been cleared out. And on one occasion, I know when they were in their RVs, something smacked the RV. And
no, thank you.
We know that there's possible bear up there, but there's turkeys and stuff like that. And so they didn't really have an explanation of what smacked their RV. I've gone up there, I've set up camera traps. Didn't really get anything on the camera traps except for what we believe was a small turkey or a black squirrel stealing one of the food baits off the one. So West Branch is a hotspot, but like I tell everybody, anywhere that you have cornfields, anywhere that you have farms, anywhere that you have deer, you have the potential for Bigfoot and also Dogman. So West Branch is a hotspot, but Michigan as a whole has a lot of territory that would be prime Bigfoot habitat and prime Dogman hunting grounds.
What's your favorite cryptid of all times? Like if you had to pare it down.
Lake monsters. I will love my lake monsters forever, just because they're like the Schrodinger's cat of the cryptid world. You can't prove them, you can't disprove them, because at no point in Earth's history are the Great Lakes going to be drained or the oceans are going to be drained, so that we know every single thing that is living or has lived in the lakes or the oceans. And so that potential, that possibility is still there, because up to 5-10 years ago, people thought that Moby Dick, yeah, that's a great story, but nobody believed that there was a white whale out there. And yet there is, we hope still, there's a white whale swimming out there in the oceans. I know that one just washed up on a beach in Australia, but they are hoping that it's not the big one. Migaloo, I think is his name. But still, for hundreds of years, people discounted that whales only came in like gray, blue, and white colors. Here, there's a solid white one out there swimming somewhere. To me, that's a cryptid creature come true, if ever there was one. That's Moby Dick coming right out of the pages of a book and swimming in the ocean. And for him to exist, that opens up the possibility that there's other things out there that we don't know about, but someday we might catch a glimpse of one, or technology might pick up a photo of, and then we'll have at least some evidence of it. They didn't know that there was a species called it's either the crocodile shark or the alligator shark, until its teeth started showing up in electrical lines that were underwater because it was biting on them.
It's so the ocean is so interesting. It's this deep thing, and I love that thing everyone says where you put the cup in, you look at it, you think you know everything that the ocean, but the ocean's so vast, and you're right when it comes to like lake monsters and stuff, because a lot of reasons people say that you don't see them in lakes is because these deep underground like cave systems and tunnels that happen that lead out to the ocean and stuff, and we have no way of exploring those, or we did and no one's telling us about it, and someone has all that information, but it's not public by any means.
And even when you look at like lakes that are water systems that are in caves, look at the unique life forms that live, shrimps and fish and amphibians that have gone completely white, are blind, and yet they are living in this environment,
thriving
and thriving, and we just are finding out about them. So to me, your aquatic species, your aquatic cryptids, who knows what's out there, because every year we find new things and we're like, oh, what the hell is that?
Do you think that a lot of cryptid identification ends up being just misidentification of maybe species of animals that we don't know, and that's maybe a big part of it?
So I do think that plays a part in there's one particular here in the Great Lakes, there's the great underwater panther in Abichu that lives in Lake Superior. And he's described as either this cat-like creature that has horns on the top of its head, spikes going down its back, and a long spiky tail. But there is also a more dragonish-looking creature that they refer to. And he's got like a moose-like head and spikes going down his back and algae-like mane. Well, we do know that Native Americans used to, when they would go basically grocery shopping in the natural environment, that they would load up their canoes with what they could carry, and they would take the lakes. They would stay close to the lake shore as they came around. But we do know, and I found this out from talking to biologists and DNR, that moose can dive up to 20 feet underwater to eat underwater, vegetation.
Scary.
So imagine you're one of these Native Americans in a canoe and you guys are paddling along, and all of a sudden this moose that you didn't know had dove under the water comes bursting up out of the water. The first thing when it sees you, it's going to attack, and it's going to be, thrashing out at you with its front legs. And so these Native Americans would then go back to their tribes and say, oh my God, we survived an attack from the great underwater panther in Abichu, and we lived to tell about it. And they would tell their shaman, and they would tell their chieftain, and they would be told, okay, well, maybe you took too much stuff, because one of the guardian aspects of the, lake monsters of the Great Lakes is that they protect the natural resources. And if you take even like 1 ounce too much of copper or hides or meat, that they have the right to sink your canoe or your ship. And so they will, attack your ship, drown you, and they will take back the natural resources that you had taken. So your shaman or your chieftain would say, well, next time, take less. We can survive with less. That way you guys, won't be killed by, the great underwater panther. So to me, that is one of my favorites, is Abichu, which is actually spelled with a M at the front, but the way it's pronounced is you kind of leave off the beginning letter and you skip every other letter, so it's Abichu.
Abichu.
Yeah, Abichu.
I love that. What if you're if people are just getting into cryptids for the first time? I think Bigfoot is where a lot of people start, but would you suggest, where would you suggest people kind of dip their toes in if they're just getting into the cryptid market?
Because right now we're hearing so much about Dogman too.
Yes. So the interesting thing with Dogman is a lot of people who initially make Bigfoot reports, when you start asking them to describe it, when they say it has a snout or a tail or visible ears, or the legs look really weird, then we start moving away from Bigfoot and more into Dogman territory. But I would say the safest bet if you want to, get into cryptozoology and you want to start researching and you want to start going out and doing that field research, is probably Bigfoot is the best one to go looking for. Not that you're going to find evidence all the time, but that is very easily accomplished just by going hiking in any place that's very well forested, with trails that go out in the middle of nowhere. A lot of hunters, a lot of hunters have hung up their guns because they've been out deer hunting and had an encounter with Bigfoot, and that is it for them, because they know that shotgun or that rifle they have might wound the Bigfoot, but it's not going to stop the Bigfoot. And once they've had a scare like that, they don't go back out. But just, get out there and walk the trails, go hiking, keep your eyes open for footprints and hair, particularly on the bark of trees or in, any type of thorny bushes or anything like that. If Bigfoots have a full coat, then I assume at some point they have to shed, because just like we shed all the time when we're brushing our hair, dogs shed, horses shed, cats shed, bears certainly shed, wolves, apes do. So at some point,
even reptiles do.
yes.
Mhm.
So at some point, they have to leave, some evidence somewhere, and that would be, this hair that's coming off of them, and that's something to look for. But I will say, when you go out bigfooting or any cryptid research, make sure you tell people where you're going, um, how long you expect to be, so that if you do go missing, people know to come look for you, and a good cell phone with a charge on it, a backpack with at least some evidence collecting in it, some rubber gloves or surgical gloves, tweezers, um, a pen, and small like envelopes that you can put the hair sample in and write on it, where you found it, and the location, what the date was. And then you can also have a first aid kit in there, some granola bars, and some water. And these are all plaster of Paris, at least one box of plaster of Paris, because you never know when you're going to come across something, and you want to document it, you want to get that evidence for yourself, and also to collect for the community so that you can analyze it and see what you found. So those are all things that I would tell people to keep in your backpack. Whenever,
Granola bars for yourself or for Bigfoot?
for
Both.
you for you
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both.
Okay.
because when people don't realize, depending, a flat trail is very easy, but when you're going up and down hills and different rock formations, in and out of trees, over trees, you expend a lot of calories and you get hungrier faster than and you don't want to be in a situation where you get caught out in the weather, or your blood sugar drops, or you get injured and you have nothing with you to, that, gives you some sustainability.
Hey, Shetan, do you see Chad's question there on the screen? It says, what is Shetan's opinion on meditation and as far as reaching other dimensions? How do you feel about meditation?
I think meditation is a good way to gain focus and to center yourself and calm yourself. I don't know about it, giving you access to different dimensions and getting you exposure to those. Inner dimensions. I know that there's certainly different portals around the earth that people come across just happenstance, but I don't know that you would actually want to travel into them, because we here, as humans on earth in this dimension, we're still very vulnerable. We break bones easy, we get cut easy. We're not invulnerable. We're not a Kryptonian. We're not Superman. So if you go into another dimension, what kind of, perils are you going to encounter where you could be totally at the mercy of whatever's around you?
Oh, that's good advice.
Good advice, absolutely.
And how about you, Shetan? You told us last time, I think, on the Chad Smith show that you saw Bigfoot.
Yes. So my Bigfoot encounter happened about, I want to say 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. And I was coming home from Ely, Minnesota, it was the first week of November. So I was trying to get home before a big snowstorm hit. And when snow hits in northern Minnesota and across the UP, it isn't like, a light dusting, it's feet of snow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and I was driving my Jeep Wrangler Sport at the time. So I really wanted to get home before any major snow hit and trying to drive through that. Jeeps are pretty durable, but when you're in a soft-sided Jeep and you get stuck or stranded, you're pretty much, it's kind of like being in a kayak out on the water. Yeah, it'll get you to where you're going, but if you get into trouble, you really don't have a whole lot of resources. So I was trying to get home, and as I was taking the 2-track highway from Ely to Virginia, right as I came up upon the on-ramp, my headlights shone onto 2 very thick, furry legs. And it went headlight or fog light, thick, furry leg. And I'm talking as thick as both of my thighs put together.
Mm-hmm.
Tall weeds, thick, furry leg, fog light. Wherever the head and chest of that creature was higher than my head was in the Jeep. Now, standing outside my Jeep, my chin I could rest my chin on the top of the Jeep. So that makes it about 5 foot, because I'm 5'9", 5'8". So wherever the head and chest of this animal was above 5'8". So it was, at least a 7 foot tall creature. And I got a good 15 seconds look at it. And it was illuminated by my fog lights and my headlights. And then I was still driving, so I continued up the on-ramp. But once I got up onto the 4-track highway, I stopped and was trying to decide in my mind, what did I just see? Because I knew it wasn't a bear. All the bears at that time of the year up in Minnesota are in hibernation. And it wasn't a moose, because they do not have a moose population in that area. And the legs were way too thick and hairy to be a moose. So immediately I'm like, I just saw a Bigfoot. Now, part of me wanted to cross the median, go down the other off ramp, come back around and try to get pictures of them. But at that time, I had one of those old model Motorola T-Mobile flip phones. For the day, for that time, that was like the top of the notch phone. You could get, relatively good pictures of it. Nothing like our smartphones today. But then the other part of me is like, you're in a soft-sided Jeep. And how are you going to explain to the tow truck driver, the state police, and your mom how your Jeep got flipped over because you pissed off a Bigfoot? So the only thing I would have had in my favor at that point in time was there wasn't an ounce of alcohol in my system for at least 2 years, because I don't drink, I don't, smoke. But they probably would have said, "Oh, you fell asleep at the wheel." Nope, I didn't fall asleep. It was a Bigfoot. But that's a hard explanation. So I knew what I had seen, and the mental image is still very fresh in my mind. So I just decided, nope, I'm going to drive and keep on driving. And then kind of the paranoia sits in of, I wonder if the Bigfoot knew that I saw it, and what if it's following my Jeep? Now, you're going 55 miles down the highway, but at 3 a.m. in the morning, your mind tends to, make up stories for you. And you're like, I wonder if I'm outrunning the Bigfoot. So I didn't really feel comfortable until actually when I got over the bridge system that takes you from Duluth, Minnesota into Superior, Wisconsin. Then I felt fine. I was like, nope, it's not going to follow me.
So have you
Whenever-
ever had any experiences where something has followed you home with any of your research and stuff that you've done, whether going on locations or anything like that? Has anything actually come home with you?
So I like to go visit the paranormal. I like to go research it and investigate it. But I have it set up in my home that with the ancestral spirits that I have here, with the pets that have passed away that are spirits here, and the colors that I keep inside my home that I wear and pretty much are a part of my life. Paranormal entities are not allowed to attach to me or follow me home. So I love the colors teal, aqua, and turquoise, and those are part of the Haint Blue color scheme. That's
Mm-hmm.
the colors that my bedroom are. I have 4 different colors on 4 different walls of those colors, and those are the colors that I wear, dye my hair, wear jewelry of, and do my nails in. So I go visit them, but they're not allowed to come visit me.
I like that. You set those boundaries up.
Yes, because my life is busy enough. I don't need to deal with anything crazy.
But listen, I'm with you on that. I'm all for going out and going and investigating those type of things, but my co-host Bree, she's not here. She's always terrified that something's going to come home with her. She never wants to go anywhere because she's like, nope, something's going to follow us. I don't want to touch it. She's like, absolutely not. Especially, she says about Ouija boards. She will not let me use one. And I want to know your thoughts about Ouija boards.
So Ouija boards do not bother me at all because, it's in mass production.
I've never touched one.
I've never had an issue with one. I have used Ouija boards in the past. Nothing has ever attached to me. Nothing has ever, gone on with the Ouija board. Now, I will say that if somebody hand creates one and does some spell work with it or tries to manifest something into it, then you might have a little bit different experience. But if it's one of the boards that you buy at the store that comes in the that you buy off the shelf and it's mass produced,
they're literally toys. Yeah,
it's a toy.
Okay, good.
It's just like any other paranormal device that we use for communicating. Spirit boxes, pendulums, your REM pods, your EVPs, all of these things can draw paranormal entities to them and let us know that they're there. So what makes the Ouija board just so scary, other than the fact that it's got some interesting, little images on it and people like to make up a good story? That's all like Hollywood crap, and urban legends and stuff like that. But going back to, avoiding attachments, tell Bree, and this goes for anybody who wants to go to, do paranormal investigations.
Yeah.
If you take some iced tea and you put a couple of peppermint candies in it and let that dissolve throughout the night and you're sipping on it, peppermint is a very natural protection herb. That will keep anything from attaching to you.
I love that. That's a good tip. Thank you.
Drink peppermint tea while you're at an investigation, and you can still do your investigations. You can still interact with paranormal, but they're not going to attach to you. You've got now you've got an actual natural protection that's inside of you, and they're not going to adhere to you. And if you're still scared, get some peppermint and let a bottle of peppermint essential oil and a bottle of lavender essential oil. Very easy things to attain, and just put a drop on your clothing. That will keep them from adhering to you.
Do you have any other maybe some natural cures and protections that you know of that you can tell people, because people in the chat seem to love it? Please tell.
Oh yes. So for herbs, peppermint is wonderful. Rosemary is wonderful. Holy basil can be used. and that is it's different than your common basil. You'll probably have to go either order the seeds online or go to a specialty um, herb shop that sells the plants. But I know here in Michigan, I could get it all the time at Easter Market. But holy basil is another really good one. Cedar, either cedar chips or cedar leaves, um, very very good. Oak. If you look at old cemeteries, they are lined with oak trees and cedar trees because that keeps the spirits from leaving the cemeteries. So cedar is a little bit nicer smelling than oak, but cedar oil or some cedar chips in your pocket. White sage, of course. Now, some people don't like the smell of white sage because it can be quite strong,
Yeah.
but
Those people are demons.
yes, yes.
I was like,
But
if you can't take it, that means you should leave. That
yes.
it's doing its purpose.
So, white cedar is wonderful. White pine, dried white pine needles can also be used. Now, you can combine all of these into a smudge, or you can pick and choose which ones work, with you personally. For me, I can grow mint plants and basil plants. I can just put them on the ground and they'll root and
Super
they'll grow.
easily. Super green thumb with it.
But white sage and lavender, they just don't like my land and they won't grow for me.
Mm.
So I have to go buy those from other sources. But you can combine white sage with like cedar, or white sage with a sprig of rosemary, or dried rosemary, and lavender. And when you burn those, it's giving you triple of the protection.
Now,
So
is there any of this out there that kind of not does the opposite, but like maybe calls upon stuff on that other side of the veil that's kind of helping to call them out? Like maybe they enjoy the smell of peppermint or something, and it like draws, let's say, Bigfoots out or ghosts
I've
out.
heard, I've heard that sandalwood is a good way to open the communication. I know that people who do uh, table tipping will anoint the table with sandalwood or patchouli, and
Mm-hmm.
that is said to invite the spirits in.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't repel them. It gives them a natural way in.
Mm-hmm.
So that is that would be a way to welcome them in. But if you're in a haunted location, or if you're in a location that has paranormal activity, generally they feed off of our energy. So when we get there, they're ready to feed, basically.
Oh, that's interesting. Is
So
there certain like offerings that spirits like they said cedar, but like with like Day of the Dead, right? They have like lots of flowers and things like that. Are there certain things that really just invoke
so
spirits to come out?
So for me, I like I like the Day of the Dead. I like uh, the aspect of honoring your ancestors, and so you always can leave a offering of food.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say tobacco. Some people say copper. Those apply more to the Native American ancestors, but for your own ancestors, their favorite food left out is always, acceptable. And this is done like, in between, uh, like October 30th and November 2nd, when the veil is thinnest, between the worlds, and you leave these offerings out. Now, for any other paranormal location, sometimes if there's a child spirit there or a younger spirit, people will leave toys or dolls and stuff like that. If you're in a location where there's Civil War aspects, a gift of tobacco or playing cards, or even like rum, can be left as an offering because they liked those things. So you can leave those as an offering. Um, and we think that the spirits enjoy it. But those are the only things that I would leave as offerings. Either, if it's a ancestral spirit or a child spirit or a Civil War spirit, you can leave those offerings in. Hopefully they appreciate them and will interact with you.
I love that. Thank you.
Now, so we covered the gem aspect, but also we covered the herb aspect, but there's also gemstones that you can use for protection. And any of the black gems or minerals work for this. So onyx.
Looks like I got some black tourmaline.
Black tourmaline is a good one. But also your white ones, so opalite, angelite.
I got tons of opal. I am surrounded by opal. I have so much opal. Opal's a great protection stone.
Even quartz crystals, you can supercharge those and use those as a protective element to take with you. Amethyst is a very good protection stone. Amethyst kind of covers everything. It's a good all-round, gemstone to keep, and it's one of the more economical gems to go get from any gemstone. Usually they aren't that expensive, and you don't need a huge one. You don't need to carry around a 5-foot gemstone to get protection. A little polished stone will in your pocket is very good for providing you with a protective element.
Oh, absolutely. Quartz is one of the most frequent things found in Earth. So it's super cheap, super easy to get. You can get it in any size, anywhere. And it like you said, it's a great protection stone, and it's super universal and great for people who are just like diving into crystals and trying to figure them out.
And another thing that you can carry with you is just a small vial of holy water. And it doesn't have to be a big bottle of holy water. You can just carry a small one in your paranormal gear. And just that element alone will usually keep the negative ones away from you because they don't want to be exposed to that. Another thing to keep is like a small rosary with you. It doesn't matter what your faith is. A crucifix is still a crucifix. And also, even though I'm pagan, I was baptized Lutheran. So I do carry a small Bible with me with the Psalms in it and Revelations. And so that if I need to read from the scripture, I can. And also just knowing some of the, like the Lord's Prayer and, some of the Psalms that, will protect you. Those come in handy if you're in a situation where you think that there's a negative entity that might be out for you. Those can be protective elements. So those are just things that, besides all the gadgets and technology and toys, your faith and how you apply it is going to, really, come into effect with when you do paranormal investigations.
That's amazing. So is there anything else, like maybe something else secret you keep in your pocket when you go and do investigations? Because it sounds like you have so much stuff: equipment, good luck charms, Bibles, rosaries,
so I
gems.
usually I have a tactical vest that I use for when I go Bigfooting. But when I'm doing the paranormal, I have it's like a fisherman's vest, because I tried to find something as close to teal as I could, and I found like a blue and gray one, because it has all these wonderful pockets on it. And people laugh at first, and then they're like, it's kind of like in the Black Widow movie where like her sister keeps on like, so do you like my vest? Because of all the pockets in her sister. So finally Black Widow admits, yeah, that's pretty cool with all the pockets. And it's like, yeah, those pockets come in, really handy because I can fit everything into those pockets. So I will have like battery chargers in there and the cords. I'll have my mini REM pod. I'll have my EM or my K2 meter. I'll have my cell phone. I'll have my little digital voice recorder. Let's see, what else do I keep in there? Usually I'll keep like a little pouch with dried herbs and a couple of gemstones in it. I usually wear a headlight lantern. LED.
Ooh, those are so cool. I want one.
LED lights make a huge difference. I highly recommend LED because it lights up everything, whereas your regular flashlight, is like a candlelight in the dark. It doesn't do anything. So LED is definitely the way to go. And you can pick up small LED like flashlights and headlamps from Myers or Walmart's for like $1 or $1.99. So very,
Yeah, super cheap. Absolutely.
very easy investment right there. And these are things, I have a FLIR digital scope that can take pictures. It has an micro SD card in it, so I can just pull that out and take a picture and scan for if there's any temperature anomalies. I have a temperature gauge that you can pick up. Most of the stuff you can pick up at Harbor Freight or Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops or Walmart's. Those are great places to find gear for both cryptozoology and the paranormal. You can stock up on your field trail cameras, particularly when they go on sale. So,
absolutely. So, is your favorite? Are those your kind of favorite places to go to for stuff, or do you tend to use Amazon as well?
Yeah, Amazon is good. If like obviously your K2 meter, you're not going to find it at any of those stores, but you can pick one up from Amazon for under $30. So that's a good one. My mini REM pod I got from Ghost Exchange in Gettysburg. Steve and Pamela Berry, shout out to them. They have a really cool shop. They moved it to Waynesboro, Pennsylvania now, but they have a lot of different tech that you can pick up. And I believe my mini REM pod was under $50, and it worked just as good as the big one. And it fits right inside one of my vest pouches, so it's great, and it glows all different colors.
I love that.
It makes the different sounds. So you're not going to lose it. And so I would definitely say, Amazon or one of the ghost, tech sites for K2 or REM pod. But the rest of it, you can pick up, a digital heat thermometer from Harbor Freight. You can pick up, LED headlamps from Harbor Freight. You can pick up the long tweezers from Harbor Freight. You can get a box of the latex gloves. Like, I think there's 200 in a pack for like $9.99.
Yeah, they're super cheap. They're not expensive.
Yeah, so you can pick up a lot of cool stuff from Harbor Freight and have it there, with you. Cabela's is where I get my vest and my gear bag from. Bass Pro Shop is really cool too. And then, it's just a matter of walking around, finding things at different stores and seeing how you will, use them. Five Below, the store Five Below actually had a really cool, I bought them before Christmas, but they said it was a laser toy for cats, but it was actually a laser grid.
Oh,
With
I was gonna say, so what's the most what's the most unconventional tool that you found that somebody wouldn't necessarily think, oh, I use this for ghost hunting? Like, what's something that you found?
So the laser pointer cat toy that actually has 2 different laser grids on it and is continuous, that I can set on on a stationary object, and it shines against the wall, and we can see if something breaks that pattern. For under $5, that was an amazing find. Another one is the light up cat toys.
Oh, for like the spirits to kind of play with, because I get what you're saying. Yep. Yeah.
So it doesn't take a whole lot of movement to make it light up. And so if you set it at the other side of the room and you see your REM pod or see that cat toy start to light up and move across the room, then something is physically moving it. And if it's not a small animal playing with it, then it's got to be a ghost or something like that.
Absolutely.
So those two are very interesting ones that I was like, I wonder if that will work. Another interesting one is if you're doing indoor investigations, having a couple of bells attached to like ribbon and then attached to a heavy object that you can hang off of something. And if something starts playing with the bells, then something's there.
Absolutely. Do you have any like funny stories of investigating, like something maybe where something funny happened? Because I feel like we always hear about like, oh, your most scary story, your most terrifying, but your most funny.
So one of the funniest ones that I had happen was I was at a paranormal convention up at the Anchor Inn Tavern up in Houghton Lake, Michigan. And Rhonda Spears owns it, but we had done the Friday night part of the event, and my roommate back at the cabin was Exie Suzanne Bruce Smith, who is a paranormal medium. She's wonderful. She's one of the top-notch mediums and that I've ever met. Very on point. And so the next morning we had both got up and we're talking, and we were getting ready to go back to the convention. And so I left before she did and got there, and went in, and I had my little tiny dog with me, Tegan. She's a 7-pound min pin, and she travels everywhere with me. Lately, it's been her and her children travel with me everywhere. She's got two-year-old puppies. So that are poodle min pin mixes. But at this time, only Tegan was with me, and she travels everywhere with me. So I was in, and I was talking to the owners, and they're like, "Oh, you can let her run around." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "You've got a kitchen back there. She's going to go back there and make herself a ham sandwich. And if you try to tell her no, she's going to bite you." So we were joking around, and so it was right before the event actually started. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go use the restroom. So I go into the restroom, and I have my little dog with me, and I'm in one stall, and we hear something in the stall next to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I didn't see any feet, and maybe somebody else isn't. Well, at this time, Tegan jumps off my lap, and she does this little low growl, and then next thing I know, she shoots underneath the um the wall of the stalls, and she barks at somebody, and Exie's on the other side, and Exie's like, "Tegan, don't you dare." And so we both started laughing. Well, come to find out, that bathroom is actually haunted. And Exie thought it was the ghost coming in underneath because apparently he likes to grab women, and he's known to reach underneath that wall and grab people.
And the bathroom's a perfect place for it, yeah.
And so she's like, "It's a good thing I'm sitting down on the toilet." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a good thing you are." So we had a good laugh about that. But I would say that's the funniest one that happened. Another funny one was I was investigating with a team at Randolph County Asylum down in Winchester, Indiana. Mm-hmm. And I had gone down to the kitchen area by myself, and I knew that there was a spirit down there. She was the old cook, mm-hmm. and she was mentally handicapped while she was alive. So I knew I was, interacting with somebody who might, still have mental, disabilities. Mm-hmm. And there's all these chemicals around. So I thought, well, maybe she likes church music or, hymns. So there's a hymn that I remember from when I used to go to church. So I started singing it, and then I couldn't remember the names of it. So I asked Google how, what the name of that song was, and I proceeded to sing the lyrics that I knew to Google, and mm-hmm. it responded, "You cook pork at 350 degrees for 40 minutes. Then apply your your barbecue sauce." And I'm like, "That's not what I asked."
That's not no.
And then I'm like, then I had to stop and think, and I'm like, well, it is. It was right around 4th of July, and I'm interacting with somebody who used to be a cook, and she's probably seen people use smartphones before. Mm-hmm. And maybe in the dimension that she exists, she's still cooking. And she wanted to know how, with these newfangled, ovens and stuff like that, how you cook pork.
Yeah.
So that nobody gets sick. And so she might have asked it a question while I was asking it a question, and that's how we got that response.
So interesting. Do you have a lot of instances you find in your research where you have spirits really interacting with like our technology, like in that way, like not necessarily like with the stuff that you're setting up, but like with our cell phones and things like that?
That was the most interesting one that I had while I was trying to use my cell phone and get information, because usually I'm recording with my cell phone or taking pictures or doing the audio recordings with my cell phone. And that was the first time I had something interact with the cell phone and be like, it was going to do, they were going to do whatever they wanted. Now, there's been other locations that I've gone to. I went to the Carousel Museum that's in Ohio. And it does have some activity, but the one thing that I found was it was disabling my flash on my cell phone camera and would not let me use the flash in the dark spaces to take pictures. So what I ended up having to do was go into my paranormal kit, and I actually had podcast, I had one of the small lights that you can turn on, and so I was using that. And when I went upstairs to where all the carousel horses were, my flash came back on and was working perfect. When I went back downstairs, once again it attacked my flash, and I could not use my flash on my cell phone.
How weird!
So it only worked upstairs. Every time you said you went downstairs, it didn't work.
Yeah, and it was just really weird that when I was in the basement of the building, it would not let me use my cell phone, flash on my camera. Now, another area that I've had stuff happen routinely, every time I go to Gettysburg, to the Devil's Den area, doesn't matter. I've gone there for the past 20 years. Every time I go there, no matter what technology I have, whether it was an old digital camera, whether it was an old film camera before we went digital, whether it's a cell phone, whether it's a camcorder, something up on Devil's Den always drains the batteries on my devices. I go from 100% down to 50, down to 30 in 5 minutes.
Every single time you go.
Every single time I go. And there's also, I usually pick up on it, and I know a couple other people have said they pick up on it. When I walk up to Devil's Den and walk around, there's always a very metallic blood smell in the air that you can actually start tasting in your mouth. And so I've always had that happen at Devil's Den. I've never had my devices drained at any other location, but Devil's Den, every single time, my devices, no matter what I'm using, will drain.
That's crazy.
And yeah, I can take them. I can take them back to my car, plug them into the car, drive up to Little Round Top, which is not even 5 minutes away, and I'll be back up to 50% charge.
That's so interesting. So not only does it go away, but when you leave the area, your power comes back.
Yep. Yeah. It's really, that is, if you want to go to Gettysburg and you want to have a paranormal experience, spend some time out at Devil's Den and Little Round Top, and I will guarantee you will have things interacting with your technology, with your devices. You will see things, you will hear things, you will smell things, and it's a very, very strong location with a lot of paranormal activity.
That's crazy. Crazy. Chad says that he's firing up the studio, everyone, so he should be here shortly. We will have him.
And when Chad gets here, I would love for you to tell Chad where he needs to go and check out some local stuff there in Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I think he's almost ready.
JD's a little man.
Jamie's got that itchy trigger finger. She'll just bring you right up.
Yeah, I don't give. Oh, you want me to? Here, I'll just add you, Chad. Welcome.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday.
Okay, first of all, your sound is a big no from me. It sounds like you have 3 air conditioners on and you have an echo, so I don't know what's going on in your world.
I'll fix it.
Okay, beautiful.
If not, she's going to kick you out.
No, I will, 100%. Actually, we'll take this time too we do have a sponsor for today's episode. I do want to go ahead and show this while everyone is here now, since we all are here. Everyone did see me eating my snack earlier. This show is sponsored by Breeze Cream Pies.
Whoa!
It's our newest graphic. I think I'm going to turn it into a t-shirt. So everybody, please visit breezecreampies.com. They're delicious.
Unbelievable. How's it now?
No, still awful.
Real hot, man. Real hot.
I will tell you guys that I did put a full page ad of the Paranormal Chop Shot and the Chad Smith Show in both or all 3 of the current magazines, Squatch GQ, Into the Liminal Abyss Paranormal Podcast, and Paranormal or Cryptozoology Digest. So I did put an ad for each one of the podcasts in there because you guys were so polite to have me on your show. So
that's so sweet.
I like seeing people who have me on their podcasts or have me at their events. I like seeing them succeed. So I have no problem promoting people and putting it in my magazine. So.
I love that. That's so sweet. Actually, I have a question about the magazine too. The Squatch GQ. I feel like I think about it as like Sasquatch sucks, like very provocative on the cover for some reason. I hear GQ and I think of like, Sasquatch shirtless, maybe in black and white, or like, you have the lake monsters, but they're all in lingerie.
I did not name the magazine. So the former owner, John Kaigadal, had named that magazine and a couple of other ones. And then I took over the magazine business in January. So for nostalgia reasons, I kept Squatch GQ. I kept that name, but the paranormal magazine was called G Hunter. I really
G Hunter. That one.
So I really had a hard time with that one because when you're approaching people to do interviews and you're like, oh, I'm with G Hunter, and they're like,
that's like me when I tell people, do you want to come do butt stuff with me?
Yes,
same, exactly.
So G Hunter magazine, Watchers magazine, which was for the UFOs, all became Into the Liminal Abyss Paranormal magazine, and that was that's the name of my podcast when I run it, Into the Liminal Abyss Paranormal Podcast. So I just took my podcast name and made it into the magazines, and now that covers the paranormal, ufology, weird travels, and high strangeness. So I can cover a lot of topics with that one magazine.
I love that. And I love that you have all these different magazines that are reaching out to all these different areas. I think that that's super cool. I'm very jealous of that.
It's a lot of work, but it's what I love to do.
It's worth it. Yes. No, absolutely. I am with you. Once you start to get into the subject, you cannot stop. You go down rabbit holes. You end up jumping into every goddamn topic in the world, and you cannot stop. So I totally, when you say that you started with this one thing and then now you have all these other things that you do, it totally makes sense to me because I think all of us here are kind of on that path. It all started off with these very little seeds, and now we're just into a million gazillion different subjects that we have no time for.
Oh yeah. Well, I do. It's just finding the time in the day. So, if I'm traveling, then it's for either going to a convention or to go get, articles for the magazines. So, I usually have, if I'm doing one thing, I'm also doing like 5 other things while I'm doing that one thing. So it's never just, hey, I'm going, for a joyride. It's always, oh, hey, let's go check this out.
Oh, 100%. Chad, how was your drive home? Welcome.
Hopefully I sound better now.
No, you sound fine now, yeah. Sounds like your microphone's on now.
Yeah, it was using the microphone for the webcam. Hey, how's it going, Shetan? Good to see you, fellow Michigander.
Hello.
Are we? Are you ready to go to the Michigan Bigfoot Conference?
Yes, I am. I am ready for it. I'm actually working. I spent half the day working on merchandise for upcoming conventions because I have that one, and then I've got Champ Days in Lake Champlain for the Champ Festival, and then get home from that. And my Paracon is like right the next like 2 weekends after that, which is like the biggest one that we have. And then Dewey Lake Monster, and then I can travel for a little while.
Oh my God.
Sweet.
Speaking
Yeah.
of merch, the boys have matching merch
I
right now.
know, I was
The boys
just looking at
shirts.
that.
You guys can all get yours at that one time I was abducted at aliens.com. I do have the boys shirts for sale.
Who wouldn't want us on your chest?
I was like, these boys have made the mistake of giving me full rights to their faces to put on any merch, and so now it is
That's
limitless and
right.
endless. We do have another one too that I think you've shown here before. That's on one of my T-shirts.
Oh my God.
You got one of
That's
these
awesome.
as well. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, making merch with their faces on it is like literally my
Oh
favorite
my
hobby in the
God.
entire world. I do it all the time.
Everybody in my
Awesome.
family is going to get that in their stocking.
Yeah, 100%. We do also, just so everyone knows, we do have
No.
Chatty Teddy
Oh!
No.
boxers and panties. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I have all the merch of you guys. You guys
Oh
made
my
the
God.
mistake of allowing me to do such. I
Ooh, that's hot.
I didn't put them on anything until I asked. I have them on recording allowing it. So
It's timeless. That's right, Cassie. That's right.
it's timeless.
It's timeless.
Exactly. Mhm.
Well, hopefully a whole box of them gets dropped off here, and I can take them to the Michigan Bigfoot Conference in Chelsea.
Yes.
She don't even have to ask Jake. She's got the pink slip to him.
My sweet poo.
That's true. She owns Jake.
I do. And Jake
I
even
don't
bought
know.
merch from us. I haven't seen pictures though. Have you seen
I
it,
don't
Chad?
know
Have you seen his merch yet?
Jake's merch?
Yeah, Jake ordered merch from us. He got like a sweater, I think, and a
Oh, yeah.
mug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen the stuff that he got in.
Hey, Jamie,
Yeah.
would you consider making a T-shirt with this on it?
Oh
Yes,
man,
100%.
Ooh.
So actually, what people don't know actually about the merch is secretly throughout the merch, Big Willie is hidden in things. He's just
So
all
are
over the
you-
place.
hard-
And people
are
don't
you
know.
It's
oh Chad, where are you
Oh.
going?
Where'd you go, Chad?
Oh, he disappeared.
He
it's
left
hard
us.
to hide Big Willie. He just
That's
pops
weird.
up all over the
Oh,
place.
there he is. There he is. Yeah. Yeah, I
Chad,
have him
are
all
you
over the
Big
place.
Willie gonna go
Big
to
Big Willie can't even hide in his car.
Nope.
Yeah, he's too big for the car.
Are you guys gonna go to the
Can't fit in.
Michigan conference, Chad?
Yeah, actually,
I
I was
will
gonna
be presenting there.
I was gonna ask you about that, Shetan, because I thought that it was like a free open, like you just show up. But then I got on the website and it says that you gotta have tickets and stuff.
Oh, so Chad, when
Yeah.
I asked you last week if you needed tickets, I was correct.
Mhm.
Yes,
Mm,
you
mhm,
you
mhm.
do. It is a paid admission. I'm not quite sure. I know that they sold out of the VIP, but I don't know what the general admission tickets
Oh,
are.
no.
I know that on the website they have like everybody, like they say what the time slots for everybody is. I believe I'm 12:45 to 1:45. So
Oh,
right
okay.
during the
Oh,
lunch.
that's a good one. Please
Well,
send donations now to the Buy Me a Coffee link so that Chad can buy a ticket to this.
Yeah, I didn't realize there were tickets. So if you could just donate so that we could go. No. Yeah, I mean,
If
me
you
and
don't,
Big
you
Willie
don't love
talked about
us.
going, so we'll have to go collect some bottles and cans off the side of the highway, and we'll see you
Yeah.
guys at the Bigfoot conference.
That's the one downside to going to all these conferences. That shit gets expensive.
It does. That's why I only go to events that I'm presenting at. Or if there's presenters that I have not interviewed, then sometimes I'll bite the bullet
Pop
and
in,
pay admission to go so that I can network with them and hear them, speak and present. But generally, I'm very, very busy with just doing library presentations and Paracon and Cryptid presentations. So those fill my days, and then like I said, I do traveling with the magazines and have to get content all the time. So that keeps me pretty much busy.
Oh, absolutely. Did you do a lot of traveling, like now that everything's opening back up again? Are you jumping back out there and traveling all over the place again now?
So actually, this last summer I did more traveling than this summer, just because all of the conventions that I've gone to have been like only like a couple of hours away. So I drive straight there, do the presentation. I'm there for the conference that day, and then I drive right home. So I was hoping when I go to Lake Champlain, I want to hit a couple of spots that have Herkimer diamonds in, so I can have a very full, in-depth article about Herkimer diamonds and where to mine them and what you can expect from each site. And then there's, going through New York, there's little cool places to stop. But then the spring and the fall are when I actually like to travel because I like cooler temperatures. And when I am traveling, I'm traveling in my big Ford truck. So now that gas prices are starting to drop here in Michigan, it's becoming more economical for me to take the truck versus my little Ford Escape. So that gas price, that $5 or some, or over that we were paying for gas, that really hindered, my travel plans. But I had a lot of work to do with just getting the magazines done too. So it all works out. But I'm planning on doing a lot more traveling in the fall time. September and October are like my favorite 2 months. So
spooky season.
It's prettier, the temperatures are cooler. So that's when, I like to do most of my traveling.
And
good deal. Oh, what's up, Sonny? I keep going in and out, and I keep forgetting if you're here or not. What's up, man?
I asked if you were going to go, but is Willie going to go too? Have you talked to him about it?
Yeah, we were talking about it, and so I think we're both on the same page that we didn't realize that there was like an entry fee. So, and like specific amount of tickets. So we're gonna have to talk about that after the show.
Can you both fit in that car?
No, definitely not that one. We're gonna have to take the F-150.
I know that. So there's. I know on September 10th in Dewaganak, Michigan, there's the Dewey Lake Monster Conference, and we're going to have a lot of Bigfoot presenters there. That's a smaller conference. I believe it's only like $15 to get in. In that one, I am still helping get vendors for. So that one is a smaller event. It's at the Sisters Lake Tavern, or brewery. So that one is a good one too.
Yeah, it looks like cool. Big Willie is talking in the chat that we're just going to sneak in.
Yeah, we're going to make badges. That's right. We talked about that. Yeah.
I think you're going to see us regardless, Shetan. Yeah, we do have badges that I made up for the Michigan Bigfoot Conference.
Did you?
You made up your own?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to delete a couple overlays so that I can.
I was like, you guys are at your 100 freaking limit. I was like trying to add like my videos in, and I'm like, what are you people doing? Get rid of some of this shit, goddammit. Also, why are all your channels in different brands? Like, don't even get me started on your fucking back room. I want to get in there so bad and just organize everything.
We need these overlays. So just hold your horses.
I was like, you can tell the first hour is over because the overlays have come out now.
Yeah, the overlays start coming out. Shetan,
that's what I changed it to after hours.
I don't know if she warned you, if Cassie warned you or not before the booking of this show, but the Chop Shop does get a little off the hook after.
Yeah, they mentioned it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's our Michigan Bigfoot Conference 2022 press pass.
Beautiful.
There's Big Willie's bits.
Yeah, they should believe that. Done. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just gonna walk in with those like we own the place, and hopefully we don't get kicked out.
It would work.
You know what else you could walk in with, and they would probably let you in? What? If you walked in with some Breeze cream pies, really confidently.
Just holding cream pies.
I bet you they would let you in.
Cream pies come through.
Yeah, 100%. She's going to be so mad at that graphic when she sees it, and I'm so excited. She's going to hate the living shit out of it.
I invited her.
Well, if you show up.
I know she was busy. She was busy. I'm just saying she's going to watch this later and be like, really, Jamie? Really? Really? I'm going to be like, yeah, Bree, yeah.
Breeze cream pies, I bet you can't stop at just one bite. That's what needs
Never. Never.
BreezeCreamPies.com.
Breeze cream pies. Listen, Ben bought the website.
Wait, what? Did he?
Yeah, Ben owns the website. I told you guys 100 times what I want to turn it into.
BreezeCreamPies.com.
I think it should be all of our collective sponsor, and then when you go to the website, it's just all of us. It redirects us back to everybody's YouTubes.
That
I think it's
sounds
the
like
most
a great
genius idea. I know.
Official. That's right. Man.
Big Willie, you coming in here? You want to come say hi?
Shetan's just like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what to do. No. What's that movie? I haven't really seen too many movies, but I know that that's a quote from a movie. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Oh, that's Talladega Nights.
Oh, that's right. Talladega Nights.
I only know the Catalina wine mixer. That's the only quote that I know.
He's going. Car handle real good.
I have to watch more movies.
I don't watch movies either, Chad. I'm with you. I watch documentaries mostly because I star in one.
You're too busy with your crystal hunting.
I'm gonna do crystal hunt. Yes, I know. And then I also have like 8 billion YouTube shows. So yeah, toads.
We should show Shetan your TikTok of all your crystals.
Oh my God, there's so many. You have my TikTok.
Let me see.
I have so many. I just posted a cute TikTok of my husband today. It was very cute. I have literally nothing but crystals. Like it's a problem, love. And then there's more over there.
Oh wow!
There's more tables in front of me. There's probably hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of crystals here at this point.
I know I discovered like this past winter that my mom is also a rock hound, and we found a really nice rock and gem store by my brother's house in Livonia. And so every week we're like, oh, we're going to the rock store, and we'd be like, ooh, I want this, I want that, ooh, I want this. And
I go every weekend, probably every weekend.
Especially when the shop owner came back from the Tucson Gem Show. That's when all the cool stuff came out, and I was like, ooh, I have to have this. So now we're planning on that's our winter vacation. We're going to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show.
That Gem Show is huge.
I know. I want to take my truck and I want to fill it with everything.
No, I'm totally with you. So I have a problem. My husband can't come with me to rock stores anymore because he doesn't know how to say no to me. If I want it, he'll just buy it for me. So he just can't come with me anymore because I will just grab everything and be like, can I have this? And I'll look at it with my eyeballs and he'll be like, sure, yes, you can have it all. And that's how I've accumulated all of this.
And then like I got hooked on watching the crystal collector, that Brian Majors guy, as he goes around the country, like to different quarries, and he mines gems and finds stuff.
I know.
So I'm like writing down every location that he goes to.
Yes, because then you want to go, and then you want to buy something from there. Yeah. Like you see the mine, and so I watched something about the Sweet Home mine. I can't remember what state it did, but they have the Rhodochrosite, and so I immediately went online and I was like, where can I buy a piece of it? I don't even care what it is. I want a piece of that mine. And you get it becomes the craziest addiction, just like all these other weird things you go into. You find all these things. There's a few YouTube shows I watched that's like the Gem Channel or something, and it's like they just literally sit and talk about gems, and I'll watch it for just like hours at a time and be like, oh yeah, look at that rock. Oh yeah, a rock. Oh, rocks. Oh,
I know. So it's like, when I'm planning out a travel trip, it's like, okay, it has to have haunted locations. It has to have something with weird travel. I have to be able to go gem mining at some point. Yep. It has to have like really cool, like hiking trails, because the dogs love to go hiking, and I love to see cool rock formations and stuff like that. So yeah, when I plan out a trip, it's like I have to cover all that stuff and make sure I document it well. And so it's like I'm always looking for new locations, and it's like, okay, so I can do this for the paranormal, and this for cryptozoology, and this for the gem and mineral.
That's the way to do it. I love that. Yeah, you hit up all your special interests at once. That's the way to do it.
That's how I want to do it.
Shetan, have you heard of these? Where these are made in Ford factories, Ford paint booths.
Fordinite.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's all the layers of paint that they scrape up and then they polish and turn into things. Yep, and it's considered a gemstone.
Yep.
Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Especially the ones that were like made here in like the Rouge plant, or if you have ties, like family ties to any of the people that worked at the Ford factories here in Michigan.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Owning something
my
like
dad
this
worked
would.
for the Ford for the
Ooh.
uh, will where shit. So everybody know that Ford factory that's no longer there anymore. There's
Oh.
a Menards there now.
Oh. Yeah.
Wixom.
Wixom. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of history around
There's
the Ford
so
factories
much,
here in Michigan.
so much. They're also probably haunted.
Oh yeah. I mean,
They would have to be, right?
there's 10,000 people working in one building. I'm sure that there's a lot of moving
Accidents
parts,
that
presses.
happen.
Oh yeah, a lot of
Well, like
accidents.
the Wixom Ford plant isn't even there anymore. They totally removed that whole structure, and now there's a Menards there. There's an at-home store. There's a Duluth trading store. All these they completely renovated that land and put in. There's an RV store there, so they developed it into something much different than what it was originally.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's happening a lot with these factories that were cooking around in the 60s. You know, now there's not as much demand, or they're building them in other places. So yeah, a lot of the Ford plants here in Detroit are shut down.
It's just everywhere. It's all over the world, in all honesty. Like, places are just getting shut down left and right. Like, I'm on TikTok a lot, but they have tons of videos where people go to like old abandoned malls. Like, malls aren't really a thing anymore. Like, people don't go to malls to shop. And so like stores are leaving them, and they're like these weird abandoned places now, and it's so creepy.
They're it's like something from like a zombie movie when you go into these. A lot of urban explorers are going and checking out these places. My fear is I'm all for exploration and the cool things that you can do.
Yeah.
There's also I don't want to get charged with trespassing or anything like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like I always question like the urban explorers of, okay, where does it cross the line from being an urban explorer to like doing a D&D, breaking in and entering,
Yeah, and that's so weird. Like, and I know a lot of the places like that too, where they usually have security guards and stuff. Like, people tend to be looking in that area. But I do know that there's a lot of places that are open to the public, though, that are abandoned. One place I want to go that I know that's closed off is the old Lisa Frank factory. It's like its own town in the middle of nowhere in America, and it has like the big rainbow unicorn out front, but it's completely, you can't get there. It's like there's guards all the time, and there's like, but that it's so creepy looking. Chad, please Google pictures of the abandoned Lisa Frank place to show it, because it's creepy.
The abandoned Lisa Frank place.
It's
with the music notes on it.
Yeah. And there's like a big unicorn out front. I used to love Lisa Frank back in the day, but it's real creepy. It reminds me, the unicorn out front reminds me of the horse that they have at the Denver airport.
Well, check. Hold on. I guess you can't if I don't share the screen.
You gotta show your screen, my love.
Look at that. Now that's just...
Yes. Yeah, that's like the lobby. Oh, creepy.
Yeah, look at all the animals back here.
And that furniture. Ooh.
Animatronics or whatever's going on there.
How creepy is that?
It's up there with, it's probably about a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say that's a no for me. I don't want to go, but I do kind of want to go.
That's a no for me.
But I do kind of want to go, like low key. Like, I'm the kind of person where like I don't think things scare me, but then I know that in the moment that if I was walking around there, I'd probably be so fucking terrified.
That's how I am with camping. Like I say that I wouldn't be afraid of Bigfoot or noises that I can't explain, but then once I'm out there in a tent and I can't explain the word or the noises around me, I'd probably be pretty freaked out.
Chad, as somebody you also live in Michigan, and I'm sure you've been to Irish Hills at least once in your life.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for Horror Town.
Yes, they are turning it into a year-round haunted attraction.
Yeah, I had the guy on the podcast actually that is starting it.
Cool.
Yeah,
hey, Chad. You guys, I'm gonna cut out early and say
actually I have to too, because my husband's gonna murder me.
My neighbor just came over and her little baby chihuahua is missing. So
Oh no, go find it.
and I got a little tiny bit of daylight left, about 30 minutes, so I'm gonna go find him real
Do you
quick.
think it had
Okay.
something?
Yeah, man.
Do you think it had something to do with that TNT that you lit at the beginning of the show, or?
Well, I did make him that new chew toy.
Oh God, Sonny, get out of here.
Sonny's missing up in the
No,
corner.
really, he's missing though. I got to go find him. He's
Okay.
my little
Love
buddy. He
you.
comes down here all the time.
Love you.
I'll
Bye.
be back
Bye.
for after hours. I'll try. And
Bye.
Shetan, thank you
Deal.
so much. It was great.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. You're
Yeah,
awesome.
and I actually have to get out of here too because my husband. I told him I was gonna maybe be an
Jeez.
hour, and you know how he is. He yells at me
Well,
and he
thank you,
farts.
Jamie, so much for covering for me while
I
I was
love you
driving fast to
guys.
get home.
Bye.
And it was so good to
Thank
meet you, darling. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. I'll talk to you guys all later. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Jamie.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Jamie.
Love you, sweetheart.
Bye.
And Chad, if you guys do after hours, I'll try to be back. I only
Okay.
have about 20 minutes left to dart. All right.
All right.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry
no
to cut
problem.
out early, guys.
No, you're
but
fine.
man, he's such a little dude. Man, I can't leave him out there.
Go
Coyote
get him.
Yeah.
if I
Go
don't
get him.
find him.
Oh yeah. Go find
All
him.
right. All right. I'll be right back.
All right, man. Well, Shetan, I think we're probably going to close around up too and invite all of our Supporter Plus members of the Chad Smith podcast, as well as the Paranormal Chop Shop. If you guys are members over at the Buy Me a Coffee, you already have a link, and we will see you in the after party show that is not on YouTube. For anybody else interested, if you'd like to join us in the after party show that is not on YouTube, please go to buymeacoffee.com/chop shop, and you can become a member there, and that includes a link to the Chop Shop as the after party show. So for everybody else, thank you so much for being here. Spooky, thanks for starting the show up, and you did a great job.
Thank you,
It was
Chad.
awesome. I was listening.
Thank you,
to the-
everybody, for being with us. And Shetan, thank you again. I mean,
Oh, you're
every time
welcome.
you come
Thank
on with
you.
us, it's just amazing.
Oh, thank you. And I look forward to talking to you guys in the future.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And hopefully I'll see you at the Bigfoot conference.
Oh yeah, we're gonna sneak into that thing.
Okay.
We got our press
I
passes
did
ready.
not hear anything.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Have a good
Bye.
Bye,
weekend.
everybody.
Bye.